Well, thank you for joining us, and we have to do the newspapers.
Of course.
Yeah, great.
You want me to start, right?
Yes, I want you.
It feels like bullying, but that's okay. All right. I like to bullying.
Oh, how? Okay, I'll start. I'll do the daily guide. Beginning story, the front page story of the daily guide states Obinim fights 1.6 million Ghana cedi tax as Ken drags him to Yoko. And there's never end in Ghana. But up there we have court strikes out some George suit. The story is on page 6 of the paper, and it's also indicating that the court also asks him to pay 6,000. Application brought under Order 55 struck out as paid for non-compliance, and the cost of 6,000 Ghana cedis is also awarded against the applicant. The judge ruled. All right. We also do have Bono East confirms COVID-19 case. We told you that when we brought to you that live interaction. The second of the weekly or the bi-weekly briefings that we have from the national COVID team that you always watch live right here on Joy News. Instant cards for voters, we're told. Charlie, sharp.
Okay.
Will be the first time it will happen in Ghana that we can register sharp.
But it would be nice to see that happen.
Yeah, they said any child, NIA will do so.
Okay.
We want to cover a place right here on the show around Jowulo. Charlie, eligible persons who turn up for the forthcoming voter registration schedule to commence at the end of next month will receive their cards instantly. The Electoral Commission has announced. Jara Safari, come down, save the people of the earth.
Well, are you all right?
I'm very all right.
Okay.
Now let's go to the back page of the Daily Guide. And the Daily Guide on its back page has a story. It says, let's rally behind Akono. And it's the GFA president asking all and sundry in football administration and the world of football to rally behind CK Akono, one-time player of the Black Stars, played for Düsseldorf, played for Dortmund, I believe. I used to watch his matches as well. I hope your son gets corona. And it's Watford captain in the news, Troy Deeney, saying people told him they wish his baby son would contract coronavirus after he chose not to return to training. Deeney did not want to put his child, who has had breathing difficulties, in more danger, and so raised concerns over the increased risk to Black, Asian, and minority ethnic players. I'm not sure it's because they were more at risk, but it was because they were not getting the right sort of care, they were not treated. So I think, I don't know, but it's an ongoing issue. And if you look at the statistics in America especially, it's the minorities, the Blacks, the Latinos, etc. who...
There's been a wave of protest for the past 3 days. I think it started on Monday, and it's still ongoing.
No, always a concern elsewhere
buildings have been
in
set
the West.
on fire and all of that.
Striker suffers knee injury after referee clash, and it's Borussia. One of my favorite, just the Norwegian. Okay, Borussia Dortmund forward Erling Haaland was injured on Tuesday in the match against Bayern Munich in an apparent clash with referee Tobias Stiller. Now it means that he limped off in the second half, in the 72nd minute of the league leaders and defending champions win.
I think the Dutch usually say Tobias.
Oh, Tobias. Okay,
Yeah.
he's not a Dutch. This is a German.
Yeah,
Tobias.
that's Dutch.
Okay.
A friend of mine has a son that's called Tobias. So
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Shall I go? You want me to go?
Yeah, I wanted to do one more, but
Okay.
you know, women.
No, go for it. No,
women,
this has nothing to do with women, anything. Yeah, please go for it.
Okay. So Daily Dispatch newspaper. So we have the Daily Dispatch, has on the front page, countdown to easing of COVID-19 restrictions. Only final year students likely to resume. I concur, I agree to that. Churches on hold till after elections. No, that's bad. Actually, I want to feverishly go to church. Winners Chapel, around Community 12. Charlie, I miss church.
The way you're saying it, I don't get the sincerity in it.
You've never believed me since,
but I mean, the church,
since you met me in your life. And I've known you for a long time.
If you miss the fellowship, yeah, that's okay. But church is you. Church is the relationship between you and God.
That's the journalist explanation. Charlie, sorry. Now I'm for about one-on-one. I said, man, okay. The relationship with this, yes, sorry.
The church is you.
Church is there in you. Temple of God. So Ben Afson is also insisting Yaho Tamaklo resigned from Alliance for Change, and this confirms Kwaku Bako's confirmation. So he's reconfirming. EC's report on IPAC meeting, it's out. So if you want to get a gist of it, please make sure you get to the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Let's go to the back page, and it's about the story on the countdown to the restrictions being eased. We're hoping that the president on Sunday will tell us how life is going to go, whether the restrictions have been removed. And I think many people are expectant, thinking that we need to.
And you have the opportunity to hear yourself, hear your questions when you put them out to MFAPAO on the lockdown on Sunday. Usually before the president speaks. We don't know what time the president will speak, but if he's going to go by what he has done so far, then it's going to be around 9. I mean, people have called it an Ajonkomo and all of that, but you know, it should be around 9 or 10 thereabout. And MFAPAO will be on at 7:30, so you can send your questions and your thoughts to her.
And Ajonkomo. Back page. Back page also has a certain, it's a cartoon, it's a drawing about how children in class will behave. That's the Daily Dispatch when school reopens. So the teacher is standing.
We've got the photo there.
Yeah, and monitoring. And then a pupil says, Miss, he's wearing my mask. And it's likely that you'll find children exchanging some of these things. Miss, he's coughing on me. Miss, he says my mask is cheap. A lot of things that children do for fun. They think it's fun, though.
But I think that some people have used this to communicate the confusion that may ensue when we go back to the classrooms, saying that and how children can perhaps put themselves at risk and their colleagues at risk as well, because someone will say, "Oh, let me take a look at your mask. It's nicer than mine. Let me try it." So
I think that, for example, if you have maybe from 10-year-olds upwards, they will be more controllable. And so the school owners and the management and the heads need to know how to treat those below 10. Say that maybe you shouldn't come to school because, I don't know, a KG or a class 1 pupil. And it's all this to put their life at risk. So those are some of the things.
Well, we wait on Sunday to see how it goes. Shall I go? Is it my 10?
Yeah, it is.
Great. So Daily Graphic is what I have as usual. He always gives me Daily Graphic. I don't choose it. All right. So on Daily Graphic, we have about 5 big stories on the front page, and it starts with Daily Graphic determines mood, psyche of the nation. Al-Hassan Andani there at that editorial meeting that they reported, I think, somewhere this week. And then compilation of voter roll will use legitimate means to stop EC, and that story is attributed to NDC. It comes with a picture of Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the General Secretary of the NDC. Another story there is Vice President launches scholarship for doctors. Amazing stuff. That story is on page 13. Get a Daily Graphic and look it up on on page 13 if you are a doctor or if you are a relative. The next story there is COVID-19 mom baby test negative. I don't know what that story is, but it's on page 26. And the biggest story of all, making the banner here, is BOG releases 5.5 billion cedis to cushion economy against COVID-19. If I read the first paragraph for you, it says the Bank of Ghana has released the first tranche of 5.5 billion of the 10 billion emergency facility that the government is seeking to support residual expenditures to cushion the economy against the impact of COVID-19. The Minister of Finance, Mr. Oforiatta, has said it has to do with a story in Parliament about the Finance Minister going there to get approval. And that's what the minority is saying, that you don't use it before you come to seek the approval. All right, so that's the story. You want to follow it in the dailies as well. If I turn to the back page, it says work on Tamale interchange progresses. And I mean, this one of the biggest announcements that President Akufo-Addo made after the Yendi dispute was, I mean, the peace process in Yendi was somehow brought to a conclusion. And so it's a great development. I'm very excited for the people of Dagbon that this is happening in Tamale as well. If I read the first paragraph again, it says, work on the Tamale interchange, the first to be constructed in the northern part of Ghana, is progressing steadily. The interchange, which is about 1 kilometer long, links the Kumasi Road through the Point 7 Road, the Central Taxi Rank, and the Central Market intersection with the Melcom and Bolgatanga Road. So development is coming. Hopefully this will bring jobs to the area and the youth there will be employed. That's my passionate expectation, that there will be jobs for them. And Tiger Force Group supports 37 military hospital. That's the story there. Let me take a look quickly at the center spread and what it has there, Roland. So President Akufo-Addo has granted charter to 2 universities. Do you want to know what those universities are?
Pentecost University, All Nations University.
There you go. So those are the 2 universities that are getting a charter. What it means is that they're no longer Pentecost University College. That's what they used to be. Right now, they're going to be Pentecost University. What it means also is that they'll be able to issue their own certificates, become much more autonomous. So good thing. Congratulations to the Pentecost University and the All Nations University as well. And this story brought to you on JoyNews yesterday, that some Kuwaiti returnees tested positive to COVID-19. We were told initially that they've been tested, Roland, in Kuwait before they came, and that they tested negative. But the story we're getting from the Ghana Health Service yesterday is that some of them have tested positive.
So it means in Kuwait they were not positive. In Ghana,
Roland.
That is in here, wow.
No, the thing is that...
Kuwait no positive. Can't Ghana no, but.
The thing is that one test may give you a false positive or a false negative. And that's why we have it as part of our protocols to test twice before we clear people as recovered, even though it requires much more resources. I think it's a good way to go. But, well, some of them have tested positive, unfortunately. Hopefully they will recover. And then another information here on the center spread is that banks will withstand credit shocks. That's coming from the Bank of Ghana's Dr. N.S. Addison. Okay, grab yourself a copy, or you can download the app of the Daily Graphic and get used to the stories there. Get yourself acquainted with those stories and informed as well. Shall I go on with the Daily Statesman?
Please.
It comes with a picture of Sam George. Sam George, of course, the Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram. It says, court throws out Sam George's
This is so wrong.
You kill a man in his own house, you mean?
Alias, this is so wrong.
That's so wrong, okay.
This is so...
Okay. Court throws out Sam George's suit against EC with 6,000 cedi cost. Okay. I'm interested to find out the details of that particular story. And then Pentecost University All Nations gained autonomy, 900 doctors for free postgraduate training. Those are stories that are already captured in the Daily Graphic, but with a different angle here. As NPP fulfills another critical campaign promise. Of course, that's the Daily Statement for you. Comes with a picture of President Akufo-Addo and the Minister for Education presenting the charters to the universities there. Back page is all sports. Premier League clubs agreed to resume contact training as 4 more test positive. Interesting thoughts, especially now that the Bundesliga has resumed. It's a bit scary, I must say, that some players are testing positive, because we know that they go through a series of tests before they play. But the Premier League clubs are agreeing to resume the contact tracing for those people. And Jan will receive a rousing farewell when he retires, Okreku assures. So the Ghana Football Association, scared to Okreku as the president, is expressing readiness to give legendary striker Asamoah Gyan a befitting send-off when he hang his boots. Get yourself a copy of the story of the newspaper, the Daily Statesman. Take a look. Do I have permission to look at the front, the center spread, Roland? Okay, World Bank finalizes financial agreements to revamp tourism industry, and GRA urges businesses applying for TIN to be ready to pay taxes. Well, the GRA was just telling us yesterday or this week that there will be tax incentives for those who support COVID. Okay, now that we're applying for TIN, we have to be ready to pay extra taxes. Okay, we'll see. If you're a business, get to the GRA.
When you get TIN, it means that automatically you pay more tax.
No, that's what the story says.
That's not what has happened over the period. Of course, for those that do direct tax payments, you get to find...
Let me read the first paragraph. It says that the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Revenue Authority has said that all businesses now seeking to acquire tax identification numbers will be made to pay taxes after benefiting from the government's 1 billion COVID-19 alleviation business support program. for micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises. That's the story. So you pay tax for benefiting from the COVID. Okay. I have the Ghanaian Times and the Finder. Do you want to go?
No, go.
With the others so that I will...
Okay, let me just go through. I have the Ghanaian Observer says Akufo-Addo committed to equitable distribution of health facilities, and it's a story that we played to you this morning, attributed to the Vice President. We also do have Abu Ramadan backing the EC over new register. It says current register not legally credible. Asasi Radio to take over the airspace. It's also in black caption. Right there. No, why is caption the black background?
Roland, you always make my day.
And now we have Akufo-Addo present charters to 2 universities. We do know them. An election on December 7 will happen. John Bwedu asserts on the back page. It's a story about. Let's do the Gold Street business. The Gold Street business has a story. Government juggles debt issuances, maturities, moves today to raise financing for debt maturing at start of next week. Now, there's also a story captioned, roadmap for easing COVID-19 restrictions expected soon. And COVID-19, MBSSI cautions businesses against using middlemen to access stimulus package. And we had the deputy executive director right here, and he said, look, you make sure that you don't deal with fraudsters. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Ghanaian Times is reporting we'll build more SHSs across the nation. That's according to the president. Government to roll out economic rescue program. Finance Minister who is seeking approval for that 10 billion. Ghana sports reforms. The role of West Blue. It's a story on page 7 of the Ghanaian Times. And teachers won't go back to the classroom unless. The story is attributed to NAT, Ghana National Association of Teachers. Get that story. And there is this story about the Ofankor landlord. They saying
that thing is in English. I'm asking. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure that people understand what I mean.
Yeah, sure. We all do.
Ofankor landlord killed tenants with registered gun. It gives us an update on the story that we brought you last weekend about the landlord who shot and killed a tenant. Said that the Accra Regional Police Command stated that the gun used by Victor Stephen Nanakankam in the alleged murder of Benjamin Oche, 31 musician, was legally acquired and duly registered. So get more of that story there as well. And then locomotive engine crashes into Goil fuel tanker at Takrady. Oh, dear Lord. Sorry about that. On the back page, UN marks International Peacekeepers Day, and it comes with a beautiful, beautiful picture of all-female. That's something that looks like an all-female team of peacekeepers, Ghanaian female team peacekeepers. Beautiful one. Kudos to all of them. We want district hospital, Chira youth. They are making that demand as well. What do we have on the center spread, if not the stories that have already been told on the front page? Comes with a picture of the charter being handed over to the universities. President grants presidential charters. Will build more SHSs across the nation. And 7 Akwemu communities receive reusable personal protective gear. We're grateful for that one as well. And teachers won't go back to classroom unless, that story is, okay, let me see, unless what? The Ghana National Association of Teachers says 8 members will not go back to the classroom to teach unless government accede to their proposals of ensuring maximum safety of staff and learners in line with COVID-19 protocols. That's a legitimate concern, legitimate request as well. My final paper is the Finder newspaper. It comes with a picture of the Vice President on that story. 918 receives government, or 918 received government scholarship for postgraduate medical training. And then the voters register compromise has been attributed to Abu Ramadan, who is saying that names of persons who registered with national health insurance cards still in the register. I think that so far it's only the Finder that, for me, the papers that I reviewed have actually reported on the voters register, the things that happened yesterday about the voters register. You know. The IPAC meeting, I'm not seeing a lot of that here as well. But Ghana's daily infection rate slightly decreasing. That's Dr. Bedu Sakode saying that yesterday at the press conference. ADRA supports hospitals combating COVID-19 with items worth 150,000 And on the back page, advert, let's find out what's on the center spread. Maranatha Oil, okay. Sandvik Mining donates, okay. Is deficit financing back? All right, those are what you have in the final newspaper. Get a copy.
Okay, before we do the main portal, myjoyonline.com, it's I know that we're looking forward to the president in his speech to give us a certain direction as to where we're going in relation to the restrictions.
Okay.
And it's important that we decide to take a certain direction so that when citizens want to do something, then they know that there's something ahead. But we need to complement that with ensuring that people adhere to the protocols. Even before the removal of these restrictions, we're seeing ordinary Ghanaians not obeying what we say are the normal protocols or the regulations. Wearing face masks that we usually would do, washing hands with soap and the running water, and then using sanitizers, maintaining the normal social distancing.
Like we have done right now. So
exactly. Now that feeds into the narrative at the beginning of this week that the national COVID team told us the hotspot had moved, for example, to the Western region, but for good reason. And it's because people are transporting themselves from one place to the other. And they are having the sense of freedom. And while doing that movement, they're still not maintaining the protocols. I shudder to think what could happen if we remove the restrictions and ultimately we're not able to continue with the needed public education and following through with what needs to be done for citizens to obey these regulations. Because they are not enshrined in law, you can't go about punishing anybody.
I think there are local bylaws, etc., that the local authorities can use to enforce some of these things. And I mean, part of these are also in the executive instruments, I believe. I think the problem really has been enforcement. Who is out there to ensure that Roland wears his mask? And if he doesn't wear it, what sort of punishment comes to him? Again, this is a pandemic, so also punitive actions are not really what you need to ensure that people do the right thing. It becomes difficult. It boils down to education, and that leads to behavioral change. So behavioral change, education, that's what right now we need. And I don't know.
I think that is where our fault, the various MMDCEs, even not the MMDAs. Because after the national COVID team talks about all the things that government intends doing, and they say that we should obey, I think the MMDCs ideally should have been maintaining that sort of status quo where these will be implemented adequately. Because in communities that I'm very much familiar with, ideally, we should see, because of the way people live, maybe public announcements, whether they do it at dawn or in the afternoons, to engage citizens and keep reminding them. We have a social, cultural attitude in which if we don't have reminders, then we don't think that it's important for us to undertake certain protocols.
I think it's
and I think that we need to do that. It's something that is lacking. Otherwise, we'll be back. Because the World Health Organization has warned us. And even the head of the CDC in the US, Dr. Fauci, has said we could have some reinfections if we just perhaps relax what the mood should be and what the enforcement should be. I'm extremely worried in that regard, I think.
Well,
because it puts everybody at risk.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I try not to get worried because worrying won't add much to the problem or to the solution. I just try to look on the brighter side and hope that people will do the right things. But you see, the thing is, it's a human behavior, you know, it's a human behavioral pattern that people just want to feel the impact of the action before they take the right action. So I don't know, wherever you are, every now and then here on our platforms as a media, we try to put in these reminders. But like Roland was saying, I agree with you that MMDCEs should be able to, or the district, the assemblies should be able to take this upon themselves to give regular reminders to get people to do the right thing. But so Takwa and secondly Takwa, they were told are becoming the hotspots in the Western region. And I met some very cool people in Takwa when I visited that place. And one of them is watching us this morning. I'm taking Roland's road today to wish, to do some shout outs. Okay. So undiluted Kobe Hazard says he's watching in Takwa. I hope that you guys are taking care of yourself. He's with Ajimpa FM. Thank you very much for watching. Keep protecting yourself and tell your colleagues to also protect themselves as well.
If I had done this, Gifty, do my job online. If I had done this, we'll say Roland or per request.
I've done one
shout out.
The whole week. I've done one shout out.
Yes, good.
Okay.
So you don't have friends?
But well, maybe I don't. Keep your requests coming. I'll do the shout outs for you. You take over from Roland. All right, my Joy Online. State doesn't owe MPs anything, demands, well, hold on. Anything, okay, comma, demands for ex gratia repulsive, self-seeking. That's according to Professor Jampo. You want to take your time and click on that story, read it. And then there are also other stories that says social media user who instigated attack against Akufo-Addo granted bail. Okay, we brought you that story here about fake news, spreading of fake news and how the security agencies can track you down. People who feel invisible on social media and do all kinds of wrong things. We brought you that story. That guy has been granted bail. Good for him. But he's been advising people not to take the actions that he took, you know. There's also a story about inside UGMC's isolation labor ward. Wow. There's a story there. Take your time and look at it. And then Sami Jemfi is there as well. Sam George's case kicked out is there as well. Abu Ramadan's meeting yesterday has been reported, and the Ghana Health Service apologizes for Tuesday's conflicting COVID-19 figures on the web page. If you remember, there was a particular figure, I think about 7,303 or so, and then the next minutes, about 15 minutes, it changed. They're apologizing for that mistake. That's it for your myjoyonline.com. Up next, we're getting sporty.
Yeah, definitely. And so we'll have Asari Bediako come in with the latest. Do stay with us.